If you are able, please rise for the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage President and CEO of the Halifax Chamber of Commerce, Patrick Sullivan.
One, two, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Halifax Chamber's annual spring dinner. Thank you very much to Julia Tynes for that beautiful rendition of O Canada. Just a great, great song. So thank you very much, Julia. Maybe we could give Julia another round of applause. Let me start by acknowledging that all of us here are in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded and ancestral lands of the Mi'kmaq people. It is my duty as a citizen to better understand the historical impacts of colonization in this country and how these impacts continue to affect the First Peoples of this territory today. We're reminded that treaties rooted in peace and friendship were signed, which bind us all as treaty people with rights and responsibilities to each other. In order to accept my role in reconciliation and acknowledge this territory with any meaning, I must first understand the truths of our shared history. Reconciliation is a journey of many steps on an unclear path that we must all chart together. There are no shortcuts. Well, tonight, we are not just having dinner, we are experiencing all that Nova Scotia has to offer. And before I start, I did want to pay tribute to our elected representatives that were in the room, but there's too many of you, and we have time constraints. So I'd like to say hello and acknowledge Minister Colton LeBlanc, Minister John Lohr, and Minister Kent Smith, who are at the two head tables. And I will acknowledge everyone else by saying thank you very much for coming. It's wonderful to have you here, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the evening, and thank you for your service. Well, this evening actually began a little outside this room in the reception area just out here. And I want to thank the Nova Scotia Loyal and Taste of Nova Scotia, thank Nova Scotia Loyal and Taste of Nova Scotia for organizing all of the vendors in the reception. And I hope you took advantage of the opportunity to visit with a number of them, sample their wares, and learn more about them. It's great. I picked up a coupon for 10% off at Liquid Assets the next time I traveled through the airport, which I thought could be a valuable coupon. Lots of great stuff out there, wonderful wineries, chocolate makers, oyster makers, cookie makers. Anyway, I can't go through them all, but I think the minister's going to talk more about that. Like many of you, we start discussing what we're going to do at some of our events over lunch. And we talked about our upcoming spring dinner a few months ago and started to think about all the wonderful food and drinks that we have in Nova Scotia. And I was really hungry. And I asked, could we possibly do more than 2 courses, maybe more than 3 courses, maybe more than 4 courses? And the answer was, from the staff, was no. But from the convention center, the answer was yes. And we've ended up with the evening we have tonight with 7 courses this evening. I will say we taste tested this about a week and a half ago, and it was amazing. I'm sure the evening will be amazing. Sadly, we had to try 8 courses as there were 2 choices for dessert. But it was a great luncheon, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the evening tonight. But to ensure that all 7 courses, we get through all 7 courses and we don't leave here before midnight, we're going to be serving and clearing while people on stage are speaking, which is a little bit unusual for us. So I will ask everyone to please do your best to give attention to the folks on stage, as we're grateful to have them being here with us tonight. There'll be lots of time to enjoy every bite of your dinner, and it does, again, take a little while to serve 7 courses. We're going to do our best to keep everything on time, but this is a new and exciting experience, so please be patient and buckle up for this great culinary journey. Tonight, we're enjoying a themed dinner, from shore to store to table. We'll start by exploring the land and the sea. We'll then discuss the craft and culture of getting that product to our tables. Next, we'll hear from the next generation of food producers. And finally, our big finish with the overall picture of the cultural and economic impact of food in our region. None of this could be possible without the brilliance and creativity of the team at the Halifax Convention Centre. Thank you to this year's presenting partner, the Halifax Convention Centre, for bringing this vision to life, and their fabulous culinary team led by Executive Chef Christophe Lezoux. You'll hear more from them this evening, and you can learn more about the local suppliers who brought the food to our tables tonight on some of the postcards or documents that are on your tables. But we couldn't have done this tonight without the generous support of our partners. Our presenting partner, the Halifax Convention Centre, our celebration partner, Discover Halifax, and their Take the Lead initiative. We'll talk more about that, but I have my pin on tonight. Our local producer showcase partner, Nova Scotia Loyal, who organized all of the vendors in the reception, and our advocate partners, Highliner Foods, Seologica, and TikTok. Our AV partners, Advanced Systems and Wasco AV, for the amazing visuals, lights, and sound in the room this evening. And as you can see, it goes all the way around the room. So wonderful, wonderful visuals. Our exclusive home and auto insurance partner, TD Insurance. And thank you to the TD Halifax Jazz Festival for giving us 2 tickets to give away for any night at the Halifax Jazz Festival main stage, and we will be drawing for that at the end of the evening. So starting with our first course, you'll see in front of you, I think, the most amazing salad that I've ever tasted, topped with dried Oxford wild blueberries and herbs from Riverview Herbs in Maitland. So I would ask you to please dive in, start eating. You don't have to wait for me. It's a big day for us here at the Chamber. This morning, we hosted our annual general meeting and elected a brand new board of directors. To celebrate the changeover of the board, please give a warm welcome to our outgoing chair of the board, CEO of Ashanti Leadership, Anne Devine. Anne.
Good evening, everyone. Wonderful to have you here with us tonight. I have some news for you. For those of you who've been coming to the Halifax Chamber event for the past year, you would have seen me and you would have heard my voice. So tonight's dinner is my last official duty as chair of the Halifax Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Thank you. It has been a great year, and I've been very fortunate and very lucky. We have accomplished a great deal together. We launched our new strategic plan last year, focusing on affordability, infrastructure, labor, and sustainability. There's been a lot of change at all levels of government, creating uncertainty in the last 12 months. But also there has been opportunities, and our members needed to be encouraged and supported, and we needed to be consistent. Through the new strategic plan, we will continue to find ways to support our members, to keep them informed, and to show them the value of a chamber membership. We will continue to work on diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion, a topic that is close to my heart, both as a small business owner and as a cultural and organizational change consultant. An important part of my journey to Canada, to Canada, as an immigrant, was starting my own business. The business community came together to make me feel included and a part of the growing, vibrant economy here in Nova Scotia. We want new business owners, we want newcomers, and we want everyone to feel the same level of inclusion and support that I have had. We all have a role to play in making sure our community creates that sense of belonging. The Chamber plays a critical leadership role in guiding the business community, and I'm so pleased that I've been able to give something back to our community. And that is in the way that you have welcomed me. I'd like to thank the board, my colleagues. I'd like to thank Patrick and the staff for their kindness, their hard work, and their dedication, and their care of me personally. I feel so special. I'm not the first woman to be a part of the Chamber, nor am I the first woman of African descent, nor the first immigrant. But I believe my unique experience has brought me to this space. You know, when the organization was founded in 1750, I definitely was not included in that discussion because it would have been all males. But I am truly grateful that today I've been part of this great historic organization and the importance it plays in the business community. For that, I am truly grateful. And I'd like to say that I'm honored. It was an honor and a privilege for me to serve you. And I'd also like to express my thanks to all of you for supporting me in my business and keeping myself and 10 other individuals in business here in Nova Scotia. So thank you all. I am pleased and excited that our next chair, Joanne Bernard, is stepping into this role. She is a thoughtful leader, a tireless and long life advocate, and someone who we can look up to. I look forward to continuing to work with Joanne because I believe it's going to be another great year for the Chamber. Earlier this month, our sponsor, Discover Halifax, launched their 2025 Take the Lead Award program, which celebrates local leaders who help bring conferences and events to our city. Take a look. Thank you.
Halifax welcomed more than 130 events from outside our province last year. Some you may have attended, like SailGP or the Junos. Others brought together communities of researchers, colleagues, or athletes from around the world. Together, these events brought more than $72 million in economic impact. Many of these events were only made possible thanks to local individuals who leveraged their connections and advocated for our city. We at Discover Halifax are honored to provide critical support to these individuals and their events through our Take the Lead program. This year, we celebrate 10 individuals we call champions, who went above and beyond to bring incredible events to Halifax. Join us in celebrating our 2025 Take the Lead champions. Christopher Witt for bringing us Oceans 2024. Dr. Arla Day for the International Occupational Health Psychology Summer Institute. Frank Denis for the Rockwool Canada Sail Grand Prix. Dr. Raymond Klein for the annual meeting of the Canadian Society for Brain, Behavior, and Cognitive Science. Dr. David Percival for the 13th International Vaccinium Symposium. Marita Wynot and Donald Johnston for the 2024 Pickleball Canada National Championship. Sanjeev Pushkarna for Electric Mobility Canada's annual conference. Dr. Derek Riley for the Human-Computer Interaction and Graphics Interface Conference. Allegra Swanson for the 2024 Junos. Each of our champions brought impactful events that challenged and educated us, while supporting our local economy to the tune of $29 million. And now, it's your turn. We challenge you to think about your industry, your community, your passions, and network. Could your connections lead to Halifax's next big event? Discover Halifax is here to help. Visit taketheleadhalifax.ca to learn more.
Well, thank you to Discover Halifax, and a huge congratulations to those incredible Take the Lead champions. I believe we have some of you in the room tonight, so congratulations. And I want all of the people in the room to think about this. We're all part of groups, whether it's locally, whether it's across the country or around the world, and people have conventions, they have events, and that could take place right here in Halifax, and you could bring them, and you could get one of these lovely pins. Of course, you're doing it for the good of Halifax and Nova Scotia, but think about it. Lots of opportunities, and I know Discover Halifax would love to help. So I hope everyone has enjoyed or is enjoying their salads. I do love the sound of busy forks on plates. Now, please join me in welcoming our special guest, the person who plated your salads, the Honourable Colton LeBlanc, Minister of Growth and Development, to speak about Nova Scotia Loyal and of many of the companies you met at the reception earlier, and many companies in Nova Scotia. Minister, over to you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Folks, hopefully you enjoyed your salad. I did plate about 60 of them. I'll speak about that later in my remarks. But so you have 1 in 10 chance that your salad was plated in part by me. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I gotta say, it's a real pleasure to be joining you here for such an amazing event, highlighting some of the best of our local producers, our harvesters, our growers. And I do want to thank the Halifax Chamber of Commerce for the invitation to be here tonight. It's also an honor to be joined by a number of my colleagues from the government caucus. I will take the time to recognize them. The beast from the east, I got Minister Tim Hallman, who's the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. I have Kim Maslin, the Queen of Queens, who was also Minister of Emergency Management. We're joined by Minister Tory Rushton, all the way from Cumberland South, Minister of Natural Resources. Minister John Lohr, if you're looking for financial advice, the Minister of Finance and Treasury Board is right here. Mr. Ken Smith of Fisheries and Aquaculture, MLA for Eastern Shore. My ministerial assistants, Johnny McDonald from Hants East, Johnny White from Glace Bay Dominion, and Damien Soilov from Bedford South, is that correct? Right on. Susan Corkum-Greek from Lunenburg, Brad McGowan from Cole Harbour, Dartmouth, Tim Outhit from Bedford Basin, Melissa Sheehy-Richard from Hants West, and I think that covers all from Government Caucus. I believe there's other folks from the legislature, so I want to recognize them as well. It's always great to see so many familiar faces and valued partners, and I always really appreciate the opportunity to come together to celebrate you, our business community, for the work that you do every day to strengthen our province's economy, to strengthen our city's economy, and grow our communities, including here in Halifax. As members of the Chamber of Commerce, you're key players in driving business growth, promoting Halifax for what it is. It is an amazing city with so much potential, and it is a hub for investment. You create jobs, you hire youths, you foster diverse workplaces, and have a valued voice in influencing policies within the provincial government, like on taxation, housing, and regulatory reform. I gotta say, the business sector is really the heartbeat of this province, and you deserve to be celebrated for the incredible work that you do to make our province what it is. This year's theme for the Chamber dinner, in our own backyard, celebrating Nova Scotia's food economy, could not be more fitting. As business leaders, I'm sure you understand firsthand the importance of not only buying local, but also supporting local, whether it be businesses, restaurants, growers, harvesters, or manufacturers. I hope you had the chance, like Patrick alluded, the vendor village in the foyer, to enjoy some of the delicious products that are on display. The Taste of Nova Scotia and Nova Scotia Loyal sponsored vendor village. Everything from local treats like cookies to salad dressings, wine, and ciders. So there's something really for everyone. Nova Scotians really have demonstrated that they want to buy local and they want to support local. And as a government, we really want to make it easier than ever to do that. And that's why we launched Nova Scotia Loyal last year and really ramped it up in light of what's happening south of the border. Nova Scotia Loyal brings a special visibility. It shines a bright light on Nova Scotia products so that consumers can make informed decisions when shopping and supporting local. So Nova Scotia Loyal is much more than a buy local program. It's really evolved into a movement. And thanks to many of you, we now have over 850 businesses, whether it be producers, manufacturers, growers, crafters, I can go on, that have signed up. And we have over 60, I think it's 65 that have taken part in our producer labeling program that we've launched a number of weeks ago, and that number is increasing every day. So if you want to join the movement, have a chat with one of our brand ambassadors or visit nsloyal.ca. Over the last number of months, I've had the opportunity to meet with a number of businesses from one end of the province to the other, including here in Halifax, small, medium, and large, who have become part of this program. And all I can say is, wow, we have some amazing talent that are doing some pretty cool things right here at home. There's no question, really, that the threat of tariffs by the U.S. administration over the last several months has caused a considerable amount of stress and uncertainty among the business community. And in business, I know that that uncertainty is not certainly a good thing. But there's one thing I want you to know, that your government has your back and that we are here with you. That was evident when the tariffs were first announced a few months back, and the threat was announced a few months back, to get your advice and your opinions on how and what government could do. Hundreds of chamber members across the province provide advice to government, including members here, so I do want to thank you very much for that. From the tariff hotline, which is always open, I encourage you to submit feedback to government there, to the more than $130 million offered currently in government programming, to the $200 million budget line contingency built into this year's provincial budget. We are here to help, and we will continue to be here to help and support you. Folks, we're making history as a province and breaking down interprovincial trade barriers to make it easier for Nova Scotia businesses to do business here at home and into new markets across Canada. And I can say with confidence that none of this would have not been able to be accomplished without the steadfast leadership of Premier Houston. Now going back to today, I did have the chance to see behind the scenes, and folks, what an incredible experience it is. We get the chance to see on this side of the ballroom, this side of the kitchen, some delicious food, have some great conversations, pretty cool atmosphere. But the production line behind the scenes to create 600 meals with locally sourced products is amazing. I got my hands into the kitchen. It was a pretty cool experience. So I do want to express my appreciation and recognize the passion behind the scenes by the culinary team here at the Halifax Convention Centre. Kudos to them, and I know that the rest of the meal that we're going to have here is going to be delicious. Finally, before I wrap up my remarks, I do want to thank you again for showing up even when the times are tough, showing up for the province. From participating in events like this evening's, that bring us together to celebrate, to enjoy some pretty good food, local at that, and share experiences and ideas on how we can create a stronger and even better Nova Scotia for tomorrow and the generations to come. Your work matters, and I want to recognize and I really appreciate the contributions that all of you make to this beautiful city and this amazing province that we are so fortunate to call home. So with that, enjoy the rest of your meal, have a great night, and have some fun. Merci beaucoup.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. It was great to see you dressed up with the hat and with the apron and all the goodies. I tried to go back to the kitchen. They said there was an issue with cleanliness and they wouldn't let me back there. I don't know what they were implying. Nonetheless, okay, now we're going to move on to our first speaker, Lee Bragg. Now, Lee personally assured me that he is responsible or was responsible for every blueberry on your plate this evening. He scooped them himself, and if he didn't scoop them, he knows somebody who scooped them. Lee is the Executive Vice Chair at Eastlink, but prior to entering the telecommunications business, he began working summers at age 12 in the Oxford blueberry farming operation. Later, he started and managed the beekeeping side of the business, then ran the maintenance department of the factory in Oxford and managed the factory in Parsborough. He honed his management skills within the Bragg Group of companies as maintenance manager of the world's largest wild blueberry processing facility and plant manager at one of the 6 food processing facilities. I think we can safely say Lee knows blueberries. Please welcome Lee Bragg to the stage. Lee.
I found my thrill on Blueberry Hill.
I don't know how everybody knew that was my favorite song, but listen, I appreciate being here tonight. When Patrick asked me to do this, the first thing I said, you do realize I work at Eastlink, but I did, as mentioned, I did grow up I say a long, long time ago in a land far away in Cumberland County, and spent a lot of my formative years working in the farm operation, working in the factory operation, and really getting to know our food production business. And I still pay attention to that today, because it's the business that most of our family grew up with and still maintain. And my father jokes, he said, at some point in time, any one of our businesses may be for sale, but we'd never sell our blueberry business. So now, being a guy who now runs a reasonably good-sized telecom operation, which is actually a little bit easier than scooping blueberries, I hope I don't have to go back and do that. So a little bit of an overview. We operate 6 factories, 2 in New Brunswick, 2 in Nova Scotia, 2 in the state of Maine. I'm really going to focus most of my comments today on what we do in Nova Scotia. But I think one of the things that's important to remember is the fact that this business grew out of Nova Scotia, and what we do in Nova Scotia enables us to be able to do some of those other things in those jurisdictions. We grow a lot of blueberries in the state of Maine, but we bring most of them up to be processed in Nova Scotia. So that's where the jobs are, that's where the economic benefit is. So it's, we do operate in those other jurisdictions, but the heart of our agriculture business is here in Nova Scotia. So on the screen, I'm going to start with, it was mentioned that too fast. I started at the age of 12 doing every horrible job there was known to man. But when I get home from university, one of the challenges we had was a lack of bees for pollinating blueberries. Most fruit crops need to be pollinated. A lot of other agricultural crops do. It's kind of a hidden input in the agricultural industry that people don't think about. Well, in my time in the, when it was, late 80s, early 90s, we used about 2,000 hives of bees. Today, we operate 25,000 hives of bees. And so I always like to start with our little lady friend. All the bees that do the work are girls, by the way. The queen, all the worker bees. The boy bees are just the drones. They're there to mate with the queen, and then all the girls kick them out at the end of the summer, and they all die a horrible death. So it's a great life to be a boy bee for a short period of time, and then misery. I'll leave it at that, or my wife will divorce me. So beekeeping, as I mentioned, it's a big input, and we employ over 100 people now in our beekeeping operation. A significant amount of them are in the Annapolis Valley. You can see some of our intrepid employees working away. We designed this system of hives for transportation purposes because we line them all up, and as I say, we've got a lot of hives we have to move in the spring out of a lot of areas, orchards in the Annapolis Valley, and up into our blueberry fields in the spring. We load them on tractor trailers, and this is a system that we've designed in-house. When I was a kid, we used to pick up a hive of bees in the middle of the night, because you had to do it when it was dark, and it weighs 80 or 100 pounds, and you'd stump off the back of a pickup truck and in through a blueberry field and put the hive down. And they say, the best encouragement for innovation is to have to do a really crappy job. So I said, oh, for the love of God, I don't want to do this forever. So we got to work, and we developed a better way to do it with a palletized system, because we knew we wouldn't be able to move that number of hives manually as we were. But I had one of my colleagues at Eastlink said, don't go down a beekeeping rat hole, because I could talk about beekeeping forever. But I just wanted to bring it up because it's an area of significant growth, and it's quite a little operation that developed out of a necessity that we had from wanting to grow more blueberries. So the bees go in the field. These are the blueberry blossoms that they fly around and pollinate. This is what we like to see, is just a complete field of all those lovely little white blossoms. The bees go, turn them into these, which at this point in time, we operate and we farm about 15,000 acres in Nova Scotia. In total, we're about 45,000 acres across multiple states and provinces. But as I say, the heart of it is here in Nova Scotia. Blueberries you get every 2 years. The plant itself will grow blueberries every year, but the theory, well, it's more than a theory, we know it works. You prune them to the ground. You harvest them in August, September, mow them to the ground. A long time ago, we used to burn them, which was always fun when you set the neighbor's woodlot on fire accidentally. So we mow them to the ground, and then the next year they just grow back up. We call it the sprout year, and then they set their buds, and it's like aggressive pruning of many crops, many fruit trees. It helps the production, and you grow more than twice as many blueberries every 2 years, which helps. You drive a harvester across it once, and it's easier to harvest 10,000 pounds once than 5,000 pounds twice. But it also, significantly, it gives us a period of time during the blueberry plant's life cycle in this sprout year where there's no fruit, and that is generally when we put, if we have to apply any chemicals for anything, or when we add fertilizers, it all goes on the sprout year typically, so that we're never, in very minimal situations, ever applying a chemical to the fruit itself. And we think that's, from an environmental standpoint, we like that. We have an aggressive environmental program we call it Keep the Chemical in the Can. We monitor these fields and we look for significant outbreaks of anything in particular, and then we would only spray that individual spot. When I was a kid, we put massive sprayers across and sprayed every field, every acre, for everything, every year, mostly because we just didn't know and you couldn't take the risk. And we've reduced our chemical per acre to 10% of what it was 20 years ago, which is, it's a great cost saving, but much better for the environment as well. So, our lovely blueberries, we eventually moved these blueberries to our factory after picking them when I was a kid, as Patrick alluded to, scooping blueberries, which I know lots of people did as a kid, but there are some unfortunate labor laws now. You can't really give a 12-year-old the same job these days as you could before. My father would be in jail for half the jobs he gave me as a kid. But these harvesters are another spin-off story. My cousin runs a business now, was my uncle's business, that builds and manufactures mowers, sprayers, and particular harvesters to harvest wild blueberries. Because our yields have gone up. When I was a kid, a good crop was 2,000 pounds the acre. Now we pick up to 10,000 pounds the acre, and we just cannot get the labor force to manually pick that number of blueberries. So years ago, we developed and invented a tractor-mounted, side-mounted harvester that picks blueberries with a machine, puts them in a big box in the back, eliminates a lot of the labor that we couldn't get anyway. But a spin-off business is a harvester business, and they sell harvesters, mowers, blueberry production, farming equipment all over North America. Anybody who needs one. I mean, they even sell mowers to Department of Highways for mowing the ditches. So it's quite a nice little side benefit to this little blueberry industry. That I should add, my father built the first factory in Nova Scotia in 1968. Our family's traditionally within the lumber business, and I try to simplify the story. My grandfather cut all the trees down, and my father realized that, oh, wow, there's blueberries growing everywhere. We should try to sell those. Turned out to be a reasonably good decision. This is another shot of, these are larger harvesters that are more like a combine. They drive through. As we've gotten the land in better condition, they scoop the blueberries up, they go up the conveyors to the back. And this is our factory in Oxford. We do about 150 million pounds of product in this factory alone. It's about 40 or 50 million pounds of blueberries. We do about 70 to 80 million pounds of carrots that I'll talk about in a minute. And we also make a lot of battered products, onion rings, battered cheese sticks. But a significant amount of employment. There's one wee little corner of this factory way over there. This little square piece was what was built in 1968, and then it's grown. We did 200,000 pounds of blueberries in 1968, and now this factory could do 4 or 5 million pounds a day. So significant amount of growth. We've got about 1,000 full-time employees in Nova Scotia in our farming and production operations, but another 1,000 seasonal and part-time. A significant amount of growth from an employment standpoint. and a lot of spin-off jobs in other trades to support this industry. I'll move on quickly to a little bit carrots. We grow 1,200 acres of carrots in the Annapolis Valley. We have an interesting land swap system with other farmers because you have to grow carrots in rotation. So we coordinate with a multitude of other farmers, and we all pool our land together and self-rotate amongst ourselves, which is quite efficient from that standpoint. These carrots are planted when the weather's good in April, and when it's not so good, May. We use a multi-headed seeder. Eventually, the carrots, we hill the rows, plant the carrot seeds, grow into lovely strips of carrots. In the fall, drive harvesters. There I am. Harvesters harvest the carrots. You can see them going into a tractor. Over in the corner, you can see a pile of carrots. I say we do not treat carrots very elegantly. We dump them in a giant pile that's like a pile of gravel in a field. And then we load them with a big tractor into the back of a tractor trailer, truck them to our factory in Oxford, dump them into the parking lot there into a big pile that looks like gravel, and then shovel them into the front end. And then eventually they go through a bunch of process where you're happy to eat sliced or diced carrots. But it's kind of horrifying what little respect we have for them along the way. But this is after they've been harvested. This is a new operation that we've just gotten involved in. It's Van Meekeren Farms in the valley, and they grow apples. We've just recently acquired this business, and they grow 120 acres of apples. Lovely things. And we also work with a multitude of other farmers where we process their apples, put them in our storage systems, and release them through the year so we have fresh apples year-round. I mean, we think this is going to be a growth opportunity. The state of New York grows 20 times as many apples as Nova Scotia does. Nova Scotia used to grow many more, and we still import a lot of apples. So we think, no disrespect to the winery business, but a lot of people moved out apples to grapes. Now, as a farmer, I think it's good because it's the highest and best utilization of the land, but we still have other land that we're going to plant apples, and we've ordered another, I think it's 75 acres worth of young apples, trees to plant to continue to grow this business because we think there's more opportunities. You can see these are not your traditional apple orchards with a great big tree in the middle of a field. These really grow like vineyards with these mechanical elevated machines, so the people handling the apples pick them, put them into a box. It's really, when we first bought this business, my vision of picking apples was some poor guy with a bag on his back and putting a ladder up a tree and climbing up, but it's been quite professionalized. And then just to sum up a little bit, I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here. This is our onion ring line, and people wonder, well, what do onion rings have to do with Nova Scotia? Because we buy the onions from Spain, Idaho, and Mexico. We get all the batter from Chicago, and we get the oil, canola oil, from out west, outside of Calgary somewhere, and we bring all these inputs. So there's nothing, we've tried to grow onions in Nova Scotia, but you can't really grow a sizable enough onion in Nova Scotia. So you wonder, why should anybody care? Well, it helps balance the employment in the factory, because we make onion rings and battered cheese sticks and battered vegetables for a variety of clients. McCain's are a big one. But it takes what used to be a traditionally seasonal workforce in the blueberry and carrot industry, which predominantly happens in the fall, and now we can balance out a workforce and keep people employed. And the fact that we do grow blueberries and carrots in Nova Scotia, which covers this giant factory overhead, gives us a factory that's underutilized in the rest of the season, where we say, what else can we do? And it creates the economics where we can bring all those inputs into Nova Scotia and then add the value, employ the people, and create economic advantages in Nova Scotia because of the strength and the security of the blueberry business. It helps pay the overheads to allow us to do these other products. So again, it's good for employment. And they're really tasty and almost as healthy as the blueberry. And Patrick said there were going to be onion rings on every course going through tonight. That's what he promised me. So last thought, this is some of what we said as they dumped out. Now we sort them to they go through a big fryer and they get stuck together, so we have to sort them and pack them. But as I mentioned, a significant amount of employment. And we think it's been a great growth story for us. And so one of the things I just wanted to close on is, there's been a lot of work on interprovincial barriers. I think Premier Houston's tackled that in particular. I mean, that can only be helpful for agriculture and for production in Nova Scotia. We have different trucking standards and different weights and axle configurations in every province. Trade certification can be different, can be challenging. There's a lovely sign at the border that I can't import bees, so we have to have beekeeping operations in Ontario and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and Maine. So if we can continue to work to get some of these barriers down, that only makes the chance of growing the existing businesses in Nova Scotia that much better, developing local markets, less dependent on potential issues south of the border, and I just think generally a great thing to try to accomplish that would help us all. So with that, I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lee. I can only dream about onion rings with every course. That's wonderful. Thank you, Lee. I'm still amazed that Nova Scotia is the world's largest exporter of blueberries, and that people all around the world, even right now, are eating blueberries grown just a few hours from here. Next up, we're leaving the land and diving into the sea. We will have a short break with course number 2, cod loin with mussel escabeche, featuring Highliner Foods' wonderful cod and Nova Scotia mussels grown in Nova Scotia. It's a bit repetitive. And shipped to PEI for packing by PEI Mussel Farms. After we enjoy our cod, we'll hear from Paul Dewar of Highliner Foods, a company that's been in Nova Scotia for 125 years. Enjoy your next course, and we'll see you back here shortly. Thanks, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. I hope course 2 treated you well. I certainly inhaled my course number 2, and I had kept a little bread on the side, which I was able to dip into the sauce, which was wonderful. We're about to welcome the second or the next half of our land and sea chapter to our plates. I don't know if you can guess what we're going to have. Any guesses? Sorry, I was trying to be so subtle. Our third course is lobster ravioli with Nantua sauce on a bed of leek fondue featuring lobster from Ashmeg Seafoods in Sambro. So there, yeah, let's. But before we eat our ravioli in one bite, let's meet the man behind the cod, and that's Paul Dewar, President and CEO of Highliner Foods. Thank you from the Highliner table. Paul was appointed as President and CEO in December 2023. Prior to that, he served as the company's Chief Financial Officer since February of 2014. Prior to joining Highliner Foods in 2014, Paul was CFO of Sobeys, a leading Canadian grocer and food distributor who we all know. He is an FCPA, a fellow of the Chartered Professional Accountant, and began his career with Ernst & Young LLP, providing audit, tax, valuation, and business advisory services for a variety of clients in various business sectors. Please join me in welcoming Paul to the stage. Paul.
If I had to sum up Highliner's legacy in 3 words, it would be perseverance, transformation, integrity, and trust. It's got to be 4.
We're a unique company in Nova Scotia. There are very few in the country that have that kind of longevity. 125 years is an accomplishment in itself, and it wasn't easy.
The success of this organization for its entire history has been because of the great people. Our people first culture applies regardless of the location.
The Highliner is a big supporter of its community. It's who we are.
The Highliner team helps us pass out food to our neighbors and helps support us financially. So they're always there for us if we're in need.
Highliner has been able to step up. They've increased their support, both in food and funds over the years. They're really committed to giving back to where they came from.
Resiliency is something that this organization has demonstrated time and time again.
The moratorium was a very challenging time. It's a way of life that for many people did disappear. We said, what is our future? We leveraged the brand and became a processor and marketer of value-added seafood from around the world.
We're at an inflection point. Innovation is going to be our success in the next 10 years.
Our potential is endless. Realizing on that potential is our opportunity and our obligation. Reimagining seafood to nourish life reflects who Highliner has been for 125 years.
Our number one opportunity is to get consumers to eat seafood more often and provide them with the variety and the innovation and the great tasting products to enable them to do that.
You're going to see people moving more and more to seafood. We can make it more accessible, more affordable.
We have a commitment to operating with the highest ethical standards. It's also deeply ingrained within the culture of the organization.
Highliner is very serious about ensuring that the supply chain is safe. The right products, with the right preparation, the right food safety, the right quality.
To work for a Canadian icon like Highliner Foods just brings a tremendous amount of pride.
Highliner Foods is the future of seafood.
Highliner is changing the way we see food.
Highliner is a company that, while being focused on its purpose and its people, and has put itself in a position for what is a very bright future. That's what Highliner is to me.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me.
Well,
First of all, thank you for the great walk-up song, Beyond the Sea, very fitting. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Patrick, for the kind introduction, and a big thanks to the Chamber for having me here this evening in what is a wonderful celebration of Nova Scotia food. I hope you enjoyed our 125th anniversary video. I know I've seen it, I think, at least 125 times, and I still beam with pride every time I see it. I do have one funny story about our 125th, actually, that relates to this evening. We were going to have a booth out at that wonderful expo where you got to sample some great wine and some great Nova Scotia food. We didn't have any food we were going to serve. You had our cod earlier. But we did have, the captain was going to be here, a big cardboard cutout of the captain so that you could all take selfies with the captain. Well, my team came over this afternoon with the box that we thought the captain was in. We open up the box, and there's no captain. So there's a bit of a mystery as to where the captain has gone. Any of you, as you're leaving this evening, I hope you would recognize the captain, first of all. If you see him, can you please report it to us or the authorities, and because we would love to have him back. I've had the chance to show this video that you just saw and to speak about Highliner a lot over the last year and a half, and frankly, in many places around the world. And tonight is extra special for me because I get to do it right here in Halifax in front of so many familiar faces, friends, colleagues, suppliers, customers, and I suspect, hopefully, a few shareholders as well. Highliner's history is so intertwined with the history of this city, province, and region, and we feel deeply connected to this place. I'm so privileged to be able to oversee a leading company in seafood globally from right here in Nova Scotia, and to do it with the support of almost 500 employees in the province. I love bringing as many of our stakeholders as I can from around the world to that postcard-worthy town of Lunenburg. Hopefully you're all familiar with it, to show them our modern manufacturing facility, but also to give them a glimpse of our past through one of our former homes, actually, what is now the Fisheries Museum of the Atlantic. And like many of you, I spend a lot of time on video calls. When I do mine from my office just on the harbor here at Purdy's Wharf, and I love the reaction from people around the world when they realize that beautiful view behind me actually really is the Halifax Harbor, and it's not some Teams or Zoom backdrop. I'm often asked about the secret of our success and resiliency in the North American food industry, and I'm always proud to point first to the heart of Highliner Foods, our people, both past and present, who've helped chart this course that we're on. And whether we're enjoying some wind in our sails or navigating stormier seas, we've never wavered in our commitment to meet customer and consumer needs with excellence, while always staying humble and supportive of the communities that have helped us along the way. I believe our purpose statement, reimagining seafood to nourish life, sums that up so well. Whether that was the reimagination that was required to see us through the cod moratorium in the early 90s that you heard about in the video, or through the realities of COVID and the global supply chain challenges that followed, or the realities that we face today from tariffs and geopolitical risks, we know the strength and scale and diversity of our global supply chain and North American customer base position us well to focus on the next 125 years of opportunities for Highliner Foods. As we think about changing the way we see food, that includes a commitment to things that will never change, including to seafood sustainability, which has been a focus for Highliner for decades. A wonderful example of that is our support of the Fishery Improvement Project, or what they call a FIP, for northern cod off of Newfoundland. The stocks in that fishery have shown significant improvement And as a result, we're finally back selling cod from Newfoundland again, processed at a facility still owned by the family that bought it from us over 20 years ago. In fact, some of the cod for this evening's second course, which I hope you enjoyed, I know I did, was from one of our partners at Icewater Seafoods in Newfoundland. We're also pleased to be working with other Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canadian companies to increase our volume of locally sourced fish, including haddock, as we look to create options for our customers and consumers, and we continue to add even more diversity to our supply chain. As you've heard me say, our roots in Atlantic Canada are deep and strong. Equally strong is our commitment to giving back and helping to support the communities in which we live and operate. Over the last decade, High Liner Foods has helped provide over 10 million meals in local communities across North America, has donated over $1 million in financial support, and nearly 300,000 kilograms of food to feed Nova Scotia right here in Nova Scotia. Caring for our people and those in our communities will remain a pillar of commitment for us. Last fall, we made a significant contribution to the South Shore Regional Hospital in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia, in an effort to help that local community for years to come. We also believe that focusing on what we do here in Nova Scotia and in North America is so important. It is also critical that we look globally for opportunities to grow and diversify our future supply chain and bring even more great seafood options to consumers across North America. We are constantly evaluating options for future automation, for technological investment, to bring even more processing closer to home. And our investments recently in cod aquaculture and land-based salmon aquaculture in Norway, we believe represent tremendous early learning opportunities for us to determine what role developments like these may mean for the future of our business and possibly even the future of this region. As I hope you can see, we look ahead to a very bright future for High Liner Foods as we inspire more consumption of seafood, which is, I hope you all know, the best protein for people and the planet. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for your support of High Liner Foods and for your support of the entire Nova Scotia food industry. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. And thank you for the cod earlier. What an important and delicious piece of Nova Scotia's history. We are making an impact all across North America's stores and plates. Really appreciate that. Well, that closes our chapter on the land and sea, and now it's time to open the next chapter, craft and culture. Now that we've seen the origins of our food and the production that gets it to the door, we're going to follow that food till it lands on our plates. As we all know, sharing and enjoying dinners and beverages with loved ones is an important experience in many cultures. From family dining rooms to your favorite restaurant in downtown Halifax, food brings us together. And the incredible team here at the Halifax Convention Centre provided us with some advice. They recommended we include a palate cleanser to reset your taste buds and enhance your ability to accurately perceive the flavors of subsequent dishes. And I know you're going to love it. The palate cleanser this evening is Tidal Bay and Lemon Thyme Granita with rhubarb compote. The Tidal Bay wine comes from Avondale Sky Winery in the Valley, herbs from Riverview Herbs in Maitland, and you'll never guess where they secured the rhubarb. The rhubarb came from the home garden of one of their culinary team members who lives just around the corner in downtown Halifax. Picked last year and frozen and made into wonderful rhubarb compote this year. Speaking of homegrown industries, Tidal Bay is Nova Scotia's appellation vintage, an appellation like France's Champagne or Italy's Prosecco. And it's just one of the ways our local wine industry is unique and globally competitive. It's even more impressive that we're quite young compared to other wine regions. After your palate cleanser, get ready for a wonderful chicken Wellington with mushrooms, smoked squash, mousseline, braised carrots, and rapini. This dish, the Wellington, is for Minister Lore. It has chicken from Eden Valley Poultry in Berwick, vegetables from Keddy Brothers in Kentville, and mushrooms from Feeney's Fungi Farm in Aylesford. Please enjoy this video from the Halifax Convention Centre team on one of their suppliers, and we'll see you back in a few minutes after our palate cleanser. Thanks, everyone.
With Halifax Convention Centre, we've used Yost for more than 20 years, and Yost was one of the first wineries in Nova Scotia.
We are a passionate team of people that make wines that are high quality and that taste like Nova Scotia.
They're one of the first few wineries to actually get those international competition medals.
Tidal Bay is Nova Scotia's appellation wine. It's made from a blend of different Nova Scotia grown grape varieties.
It does add a very unique flavor to the grapes that you cannot get anywhere else.
The Yost Tidal Bay wine, the flavors are so crisp and clear when it comes to cooking with that wine.
Nova Scotia seafood in Tidal Bay. It's a match made in heaven.
Local suppliers are the backbone of our business. Without them, our jobs would be incredibly difficult.
Yost Vineyards actually has one of the longest running relationships with the Halifax Convention Centre. It just makes sense that we continue this relationship and keep on growing it.
I'm back! Get up off of that thing and dance to you. Sing it now. Get up off.
All right, if I could only dance. All right, hello again, everyone. Our palates are clean, and now we can take advantage and appreciate the next course. So we're diving into our chicken Wellingtons, bursting with flavor from the valley in every bite. And to continue our journey into the craft and culture, let's meet our next guest and celebrate the art of food on our plates and beverages in our glasses. Heather Rankin is a CAP-certified sommelier and co-owner and founder of the award-winning Obladi, a wine bar just 150 meters from here and open after our event this evening. She is a wine and spirits educator, writer, and judge with the National Wine Awards of Canada and various wines and spirits competitions at the provincial level. She sits on multiple regulatory tasting panels and is a frequent speaker and panelist at conferences featuring wines, spirits, and hospitality. We're so pleased she could join us here tonight. Please give a warm welcome to Heather Rankin. Heather.
Cute song. It's funny, the young kids come into Obladi and they're like, so where did you get the name for the place? Obladi, what is that? And I say, it's like the Beatles song. And they're like, the what? Beatles song? Never mind. Thank you so much to the Chamber for having me here tonight. It's a real honor, pleasure to be in the room with all of you talking about wine and food. Anybody in the room been to Obladi before? Yes, oh, it's so nice. So nice to hear. A lot of people ask where we got the idea for Obladi, and it all actually just really started as a desire to move back home and get out of this corporate tech life I was in. I was working and living in London, England in software, and before that in New York City, and I'd had enough of it. And my brother Christian, who's in the room tonight, and co-owner of Obladi, he came to visit me in London in 2008, I think it was, and over dinner I said, I think I should open a wine bar in Halifax. And he looked at me and said, I would do that with you, because he was out west working in energy, and he was kind of feeling the same pull back to Nova Scotia that I was. So neither of us had any restaurant experience, so it was perfect. Yeah, so I can still remember giving my director at the BBC my notice. He called me into his office and he was like, where are you going and how much are they paying you? These were the days of the tech boom, and I looked at him and said, well, I am actually moving back to Halifax to open a little wine bar. And he just started laughing. And a lot of people actually thought the idea was kind of silly when we told people about it. A lot of folks said that Halifax is a rum town. People don't drink wine here. They said, you can't compete with the big boys, the big restaurant chains, which were kind of dominating the scene at the time. They said wine bars don't work here. They've tried, and they actually just don't work. But we really felt committed. We got to work on the business plan. I enrolled in a sommelier program, and we opened Obladi in 2010. So, yeah, still there. So the idea for Obladi was actually to bring a little bit of Europe to Halifax. So the focus wasn't particularly local. The inspiration for Obladi kind of came from Europe. And in my mind at the time, I was like, everything that was amazing came from Europe, so we're just going to focus on that. It would be like our edge. But before we opened, we ended up meeting up with a chef who was leaving the restaurant industry at the time. And he was going to start making his own charcuterie. His name was Frederick Tandy. Anybody know Frederick, maybe in the room? Yeah, so we set up a little tasting in my apartment kitchen, and we were sold, totally loved it. And we became one of Frederick's first customers, and he went on to open a little market stall at the Seaport Market, and eventually opened his shop on Gottingen Street, Ratineau French Cuisine. And so when it came time to list Ratineau's products on our menu, we decided that we would also put his name next to his products, which it happens a lot more now, but at the time it was kind of uncommon. Restaurants were a bit more black box. You got your food, you didn't ask questions, you ate it, you went home, that was pretty much it. And we also got him to come in and teach us about his products too, the staff, the servers, everyone, where he got his duck breasts to make his duck prosciutto, how he cooked the rabbit for his rabbit rillette, how long he cured his noix de jambon. And we typed it all up, and we trained all the servers on it so that if a guest did ask about these products, the server could tell them, and also tell them where to find it. And this system, we found, was really serving everyone. The front of house were really engaged. They were interested. They weren't just delivering, food to the table. They were talking about the products. The producers' products were getting promoted and sold. Obviously, that's great for them. The guests were delighted with the intel. They were like, oh, wow, this is great. Where can I get it? I had no idea. And the kitchen staff were like these, working with really great ingredients that you didn't have to fiddle with so much to elevate them. They were so great that, you could just put them on a plate. And they were forming relationships with these purveyors and adding meaning to their work too. And we noticed really quickly that the guests, the more they understood what they were eating, the more they appreciated what they were eating, and the more they loved what they were eating. And then we also realized that we actually didn't have to get our stuff from Europe, maybe the olives or something like that, but we could get amazing aged Gouda from the Dutchman cheese farm in Upper Economy. We could get pork belly, wonderful pork belly from Olton's in Windsor. Rousseau oysters from Eel Lake. We've had some tonight, fresh herbs from Riverview Herbs in Maitland. Amazing maitake mushrooms from the Maritime Gourmet Mushroom Company. It was all here. And before we knew it, our menu was 100% local where we could be. And we even went a step further and we found this potter, the late Nancy Postma, if any of you know her. She was in her 70s at the time, still working, still doing the Christmas show at the Forum in her suit. And we asked her if she could make our plates and bowls for Obladi, and she totally did. It was great. We still have them kicking around. She's retired, and actually she passed on. But anytime we needed new crockery, we would just send her a little email. During the pandemic, we did wine and cheese packages and boxes to go. We used all local cheeses, charcuterie, and even some local wines for those, and kept all of our staff employed as little delivery drivers and packers, and plus all of our lovely producers and cheese. Thanks, yeah. So, we've never, instead of ordering from Cisco or GFS, those big trucks that are always holding up traffic downtown, we ended up with and still do have about 100 little suppliers that we deal with. And as you can expect, it's tough for restaurants to work like that, right? We're small, we can do it, and we're really focused on this, but there's no online ordering form with these little farmers. There's no big truck that comes with everything you need on it. There might be like one truck that comes once a week if you got your order in on time. Sometimes the receipts are like handwritten, crumpled things. The accountants are like, what is this? Is this a 2? Is it a 1? And it's just a little bit awkward dealing with the small producers sometimes. And also, restaurant workers, we're working when farmers are sleeping. And we're sleeping when they're at work. And it's hard sometimes to marry up those two worlds and get them what they need when they need it, and they get what we need when we need it. Like a chef that's on shift till midnight is not going to be at the farmer's market at 6 in the morning. It just doesn't work. It's kind of a funny story. I remember when we first opened, we were open till really late, silly late, like 2 in the morning. And we were new, it was busy, it took us ages to close down at the end of the night. And I don't know if people remember Sweet Williams, the sausage company. Yeah, and we used to do a lot of business with Bill. And he was driving down Barrington Street one Saturday night at like 4 in the morning on his way to work to the Seaport Market. And he's like, later that morning, he's like, I was driving down Barrington Street, I saw your lights were on. I was going to work and you guys were closing up. And that's kind of how it goes. But I think at the end of the day, the investment in local, in our local food economy, the small food system, makes it worth it. All the people it touches, everybody that's involved, the value it adds. And I also think there is something special about that face-to-face way of doing business. I think it ensures a more honest, transparent exchange. When I see Ciro Comencini from Scotch Village, he's coming up the entranceway on his delivery days, and he's got a big wheel of Asiago under his arm. I had to feel that like he picked that, he's looking at that wheel and I'm gonna get a better wheel because he has to look at me and like give it to me. And then I see him coming like, ooh, do I owe him anything? I should pay him because I can't, I'm not gonna take the cheese and not give it to him. So I think it just keeps everybody really honest, and I just like doing business that way. And then there's the wine. So, yeah. Trying to get folks to drink local wine in 2010, it was only 14 years ago, but it was not easy. Many people were just convinced that local wine was just not good. And we had 2 local wines on the list when we opened. We had Yost Cabernet Franc, it's an excellent wine. And then we had Nova 7, and it was in its 2nd vintage back then, so just 2nd year out. And I really do attribute the shift in attitude toward Nova Scotia wine with Nova 7. It was the gateway Nova Scotia wine. When people tried it, you could see they loved it. And then they were thinking to themselves, the wheels were turning, and they're like, okay, so if this is Nova Scotia wine and it's good, maybe Nova Scotia makes other good wines, so maybe I should check those out. Like wine geeks, the wine community, we knew that how great the Gaspereau Vineyards Rieslings were. We knew how wonderful Lacadie Vineyard Sparklings were, the Blomidon Chardonnays. We knew all that, but I think it was Nova 7 that made the light go on for the average person, and importantly, opened the door for them to explore more Nova Scotia wine. So today our list is obviously a lot more local, and just as with the food, we know that the way to get people excited about Nova Scotia wine is to keep putting the best ones in front of them and then serving them alongside really excellent Nova Scotia food, and then softly educating them and ourselves, staff too. And since the outset, we've always educated our staff on wine, always, and always at least one trip to the Valley a year. And these are focused visits with winemakers and the winery team to taste, discuss, walk through the vineyards, talk about the vintage that's coming, that's just passed. And one year we even made our own wine with Lacadie Vineyards from vine, all the way through to bottle, picking the site, pruning the vines, all of that. And we pass along those experiences, that understanding to our guests through tableside conversations, through wine tastings, through flights. We have a Nova Scotia flight on the menu all the time. We change up the name. Right now it's called Briny Ocean Tossed. And you can try 3 Nova Scotia wines anytime. Just come in through the front door, and they're right there. In 2019, we developed a 4 to 5 week course on Nova Scotia wine, detailing our terroir, all of our producers, our grapes, our regional wine styles. And we even rented a bus, and on the last day, we took all the students to the Valley on a guided trip with select wineries, and everybody had a great time. We put on really fun events too, which help people learn when they don't even realize they're learning, or help them make these discoveries. We had a Champagne versus Nova Scotia sparkling wine showdown, and we had everybody try blind a Nova Scotia sparkling wine next to a comparable champagne, and then we asked everybody at the end of the evening, it was paired with a lovely dinner, to pick their favorite and then see if they could figure out which one was the local versus the champagne. not huge success on pegging, which was local versus champagne, but the love for the Nova Scotia sparkling wine was almost unanimous. So everybody loved those wines, right, that were made right here in Nova Scotia, and they didn't even realize it. And our sparkling wines in Nova Scotia are not just excellent for Nova Scotia, they are excellent, period. They're winning tons of awards all over the world for our combination of just freshness and intensity and richness that sparkling wine regions just can't get. They just can't get that. We do really lovely light-bodied reds. The Lightfoot and Wolfville's Ancienne Pinot Noir would rival any Burgundy. Aromatic white vinifera, Avondale Sky Riesling. Put that with scallop ceviche. It's so great. A newcomer, Parland Wines, focusing on natural low-intervention pet nats and orange wines. They're just excellent. And we can't leave out Tidal Bay. Has everyone here heard of Tidal Bay? Yeah. Yeah, and so the fact that you've even heard of it and that you're drinking it is huge. It's a testament to this appellation's success, its drinkability, a bright, clean, aromatic white, has done wonders for our local wine industry, sales, tourism, identity. It's a big deal. And I mention identity because I do think who we are as Nova Scotians and what we have to offer as a region really sets us apart from the rest of the wine world. Our maritime climate, so unique. Our proximity to the ocean, our soils, our topography, they all combine to create a really unique style of wine that is distinctly Nova Scotian. Our culture, our music, our food, our love of storytelling, it helps us communicate our offering and create memories in a way that other places, other wine regions, they just can't. For the past decade, I've judged with the National Wine Awards of Canada, and each year, the competition is held in a different Canadian wine region. And a few years ago, it was held out here. To this day, and these judges, they've been everywhere. They've tasted everything. This is their lives. This is all they've done for the past 20 years. To this day, the thing they remember most is a lobster boil at Benjamin Bridge Winery outside in the tent with a Cape Breton square dance that we put on for them. And we had called our cousin, Rankin McGuinness, a little plug for Rankin. We called Rankin to rustle up some musicians, and we asked him could he call steps as well, because we had a lot of people from Ontario. They were going to need to be called. And they had a great time, like fiddle, piano, everything. They learned some square dancing steps, and they remember that. So I really believe our role as a wine bar, restaurant, is to seek out the best our region has to offer and present it in the best possible light in our own way, while at the same time highlighting, like really promoting the people and the places behind these products. Whether that's through tableside chats, or more formal tastings and classes, or a Cape Breton square dance. So thank you so much for listening. Really enjoyed it.
Wow. Thank you very much, Heather. You're a great storyteller. It was amazing. And it's hard to believe, but you've actually made me a little hungry again. Certainly thirsty. Certainly thirsty. So, as I mentioned, Obladi is just down the street. Now, I don't want you going there tonight because I think it's music tonight. Is it music night tonight, Heather? Jazz night, and we're going to try to bring the chamber staff in there later, so I want to make sure there's room. So don't go there tonight. But you can go any other night, they're open 6 days a week. I'll be sad if you get there before me. But when we talk about craft and culture of food, a key component is community engagement. Almost 2 decades ago, a social enterprise emerged in the north end of Halifax, sprung from a community garden. Hope Blooms is a youth-led social enterprise and registered charity founded in Halifax that empowers over 450 youth annually through social entrepreneurship, food sovereignty, and education. Since its founding in 2009, they've developed several social enterprises, including their fresh herb dressings, which are now sold in 83 Loblaws and local boutiques in Nova Scotia. This is a big number. Their initiatives have raised over $500,000 in scholarships for youth over the past 5 years and generate almost $200,000 annually. Sorry, over $200,000 annually. Hope Blooms has proven that investing in youth creates lasting social and economic impact, with a return of $3.22 for every dollar invested. Please join me in welcoming a few members of the Hope Blooms team. Koladi Baboyi, Creative Director of Youth Impact Business, and Veronica Gutierrez, Director of Growth and Development. Come on up.
How is everyone doing tonight? There we go. Before we begin, I want to give a thank you to the Chambers for this invitation and this opportunity to be up here to share our story. Good evening, everyone. My name is Koladi Baboyi. I am the Creative Director of the Youth Impact Businesses at Hope Blooms. I want to start off with a quote that resonated not only with me, but with my community. And that quote is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. This is a quote by Wayne Dyer. And you're probably wondering, why did I intro with that? Well, Hope Blooms began on an abandoned piece of land in the heart of Halifax. This land was provided us by the city, as you can see in this photo. And it was an opportunity for us to beautify it, to energize this land again. From day one, our focus has been on actively engaging youth and their families in holistic ways, holistic practices. Our work directly addresses food insecurity. It fosters a sense of belonging and provides access to education. This, in return, supports and builds a microeconomy here within Nova Scotia. And on top of that, all the proceeds are reinvested into community. As a lot of people here know, reinvesting is a big, big thing, because it's a long-term game plan we're looking at. As Patrick said, our impact is measurable. For every dollar that's invested, there's a $3.22 return, with also opportunity for this to increase over the next few years as our work gets a little deeper. So, I like to do an activity during my presentations. I like to engage the crowd. So I'm going to say 3 statements, and if these statements relate to you, I want you to stand up. I know we ate a lot, so it might be a little hard, but just try your best, try your best. So, please stand up if you've ever felt like you've been unseen before. Actually, I can't really see people. I can't really see nothing going on here. So I'll repeat that. There we go. Some people standing up. Amazing, amazing. There we go. There we are. Okay, you can sit back down. You can sit back down. You can sit back down. My second statement. Please stand up if you felt excluded because you were not good enough. I'm definitely standing up already. So I'm gonna stand up already for that. Amazing, amazing. And my last statement. Please stand up if food insecurity or access have been a systemic barrier for you or touched your life or your community. Amazing. So to the ones who are standing, you are the unseen, and Hope Blooms was created to shine a light on the unseen. I grew up in a community where my life trajectory was already decided for me. It's either being incarcerated or being dead. But me, I'm more than a stat. I was 8 years old when I helped found Hope Blooms with our founder, Jesse Johnmore, and the founding youth of Hope Blooms. This is a place where youth can grow food and also grow futures. And at first, it wasn't like that at all. When we first got our first plot of land at this space here, there was yellow crime tape actually around the area. So imagine the stigma you're already starting off with. This felt as if the only light shining on us was from a negative source, and we felt like we couldn't escape it. But there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. But we believe the children raise the villages. I have experienced in the inner city that children are wonderful, they're geniuses, they're innovative, they're energetic. And that's what they bring to Hope Blooms. We are a youth-led social enterprise, registered charity, and non-for-profit. It's a lot to say. Hope Blooms is not just about investing in ideas. We are cultivating a generation of leaders who will shape an equitable and sustainable future for Nova Scotia. At Hope Blooms, we engage over 450 youth annually. We weren't just planting seeds in the soil. We were planting hope for a community that's been told it wasn't enough. And after the inception of Hope Blooms in 2009, we created our fresh herb dressing. A handcrafted dressing with the fresh herbs grown locally and most of our ingredients sourced locally. This evolved from just growing in gardens to growing social enterprises. And I'm proud to say, we began with 4 Loblaw stores in 2015, after our episode of Dragon's Den. Who here has seen Dragon's Den? Anyone seen the episode of Dragon's Den? Yeah, amazing. So we began with 4 stores. And to this day, as of 2025, we're in 83 stores across Atlantic Canada and local boutiques. Just not stopping there, Hope Blooms has expanded its social enterprise offerings. We have added 3 more agri-food businesses to our lineup. Our from-the-ground-up mushroom coffee, our protein pop, our hot cocoa/fruit burst lemonade. The sales from the fresh herb dressing go back to a scholarship fund. And annually, we're giving out $84,000 up to $100,000 a year in scholarships to youth directly here in Nova Scotia. So, with this new momentum, Hope Blooms It's able to highlight our core focuses of buckets. What are we really trying to prioritize these next few years? Social entrepreneurship, food sovereignty and innovation, and of course, education. How are we doing that? We are redefining sovereignty through youth-led innovation initiatives, such as we have a global culinary arts program that takes cuisines from around the world and reteaches youth directly here in Nova Scotia, with 400 participants in the last 3 years being in this program. Our Hope Blooms digitized farmers market, with over 1,800 participants in the last 3 years. And our Hope Blooms 10,000 square feet urban agricultural farm, where we're producing 4,000 pounds of fresh food every summer that goes back free to our community. So I want to ask the crowd, can we grow food? Can we grow social businesses and give back? Can we grow access to education? And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. We are brave enough to do it. We are brave enough to see it. And we are also brave enough to live it. Now I want to pass it off to my colleague, Veronica.
Wow. Okay. Is there still more stuff? Really hard to follow, Colari. I'm Veronica Gutierrez, and I'm not a stats person, even though I feel like I should be because of my position in Hope Blooms. But I am a person that, like, if I see it, I believe it. And before I work at Hope Blooms, I walked by, I saw this garden, I saw a bunch of kids growing food and then, like, eating that food. The vegetables, the kids were eating vegetables, and I was like, what is happening? What's happening here? So, yeah, I went in, I said that I wanted to volunteer, and it changed my life in many ways. And I'm gonna go back to when I was like a little bit younger in Venezuela. I'm from Venezuela. And Venezuela is a country that has like many troubles, and like being in a historically marginalized place and in a historically marginalized community, as I was as a Black woman in Venezuela, you don't get to dream much, and you don't get to have a lot of hopes. And it wasn't even sad for me, but like it was a statement for me. It was something that I said to my friends. I was like, why would you dream so much? Like, it's only gonna disappoint you. It's only gonna make you feel bad after when it doesn't happen. And I realized in Hope Blooms after, with a therapist called Robert Gride, he's an African Nova Scotian therapist that we love, that this is a phenomenon that is very common, and it has a name. It's called a vacant self-esteem. And it happens to people that were raised in marginalized communities, for the most part, because it's not a low self-esteem, it's not a high self-esteem, it's vacant, because it's hard to visualize yourself in the future. What I saw happening in Hope Blooms, and when I see every day in Hope Blooms, is how this is changing. Like, this part of our brain is changing every day by like seeing, it's changing every day by like seeing that they can do things, that they can dream big. And I didn't get to see that as a kid, and when I got to see it there, it was incredible. And it's incredible to see how all of these kids, they think they can do big things because they can, and because they are doing them. And yeah, that was what I believe. And then the stats came. And I was like, yeah, this is working. This is obviously on paper working, but also I can see how we're changing these kids' lives. And what we want to see for the future of Hope Blooms is we have more than 450 kids, but also we just want to go to their schools. And that's something that we started doing this year, and we want to go to more schools, and we want to reach more kids, because this is completely necessary. This is essential for all of us that are from equity-deserving communities to thrive and to actually like change our mindset and get to be everything that we can be. So we want to be there, we want to be in the schools, we want to like write down the model because this model is working and it's not happening in other organizations. I've been in other organizations and it's not happening, it's new, it's very refreshing to see. The youth are making things happen, they are leading the way, they are designing everything the way they want it, and we want other places to do this as well. I think this is all
I think my time's up.
I didn't show you more pictures, but that's fine. Thank you so much for inviting us and like for letting us tell the story.
Good job, good effort.
Well, the future looks bright. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Hope Blooms team. Thank you so much for sharing this incredible story with us. Oh, thank you. I think I'm okay. And we have a QR code. I think we have a QR code, or we will have a QR code on the screen there for donations to Hope Blooms. If you would like to make a donation to Hope Blooms, of course, you can visit their website, and I'm sure you can make donations there after this evening as well. They go above and beyond in creating opportunities in food, in entrepreneurship, and community for the next generation. This type of venture should be encouraged and replicated in many, many communities. With that, we're into our final segment of the evening, the big picture. But before we meet our final speaker, let me talk about our last two courses. As the very talented and smart Halifax Convention Centre culinary team members told me last week, the French love to eat cheese, and at the end of the meal, your brain knows to stop eating once you've had. Sorry, I've messed this up because we're supposed to have two courses, but we've separated them. So, you know, cheese is great. I think we all love cheese, and I have to say, before a week and a half ago, I had no idea there was brie made in Nova Scotia. So I'm a convert to that great cheese. And we're going to have ice cream. No, we're not going to have ice cream. Yeah, we are going to have ice cream, but that's coming later. So get ready to dive into your sixth course. Some of you are being served already with Nova Scotia cheese plate with a grilled bagantine, fig marmalade, and cranberries. And those cranberries are from the Terabita Farms. Annapolis Fine Cheeses Brie from Annapolis Royal. That Dutchman's Cheese Farm Gouda from Upper Economy that I think Heather alluded to earlier. And Fox Hill Cheese House's Cranberry Cheddar in Port Williams. The dessert that we'll get in a few moments is our something sweet. It is a caramelized Honeycrisp apple semifreddo. What is that? It's oat and maple syrup crumble with chicory caramel and oat and maple crumble with chicory caramel sauce. What's a semifreddo? I had to look this up. It's a combination of ice cream and mousse, and you'll enjoy it immensely, I suspect. And it means partially frozen in Italian. The dish features apples from Scotian Gold Cooperative and Acadian maple syrup. So we all love dessert, and dessert is often associated with a celebration. And tonight is my wife Patty's birthday. And Patty's right down here in front of me. We couldn't afford to sit at the same table. But she's here to join us this evening. So we don't have time to sing happy birthday, but on the count of three, perhaps everyone could say happy birthday, Patty. So 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Patty. There you go. I told you I'd buy you dinner. And who better to guide us through the last few bites of this great dinner than the food professor himself, Dr. Sylvain Charlebois. There you go. Dr. Charlebois, I don't think it's time for that yet. Dr. Charlebois is a professor in food distribution and policy at the Faculty of Management at Dalhousie University in Halifax. He is also the senior director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie. known as the food professor. His current research interest is in the broad area of food distribution, security, and safety. He's one of the world's most cited scholars in food supply chain management, food value chains, and traceability, with over 775 published peer-reviewed journal articles. He co-hosts the Food Professor podcast, discussing issues in the food service, grocery, and restaurant industries, which is the most listened to Canadian management podcast in Canada. And if you haven't been listening, I guess this is your time to sign up. Each year since 2012, he's published the now highly anticipated Canadian Food Price Report, which provides an overview of food price trends for the coming year. On top of all these accolades, Dr. Charlebois has generously donated his speaking fee tonight to Hope Blooms. Let's give a warm welcome to our big picture guest, Dr. Sylvain Charlebois.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Is it time to dance now? Lose some calories? Are you guys full now? You're not full? Come on, I'm full. Yes. But the best part is to come, dessert. But are you guys inspired? Yes. I'm inspired. I'm inspired. When Pat called me, I think it was 3 months ago, asked me to be here tonight. I told him, you're going to dedicate this evening, your evening, to food? I'm in. Absolutely. Food is often forgotten in our lives. It's important. Every day you make 2-3 decisions of what to eat. And those decisions make a huge impact on the food economy. Your decisions matter. I've been in Nova Scotia with my family for 10 years, and I've often heard, well, Nova Scotia food is okay. Nova Scotia wines are okay. Well, I think Heather convinced all of us that wines in Nova Scotia are worthwhile considering. What I need to underscore tonight is the work that our Premier Tim Houston is doing. I just flew in this afternoon from Toronto. In Toronto this week, there's Cial. Cial is the largest food innovation show in the world. Everyone is in Toronto this week, including our own Minister of Ag, Greg Morrow. I was actually with him last night, before he went to the Leafs game, just so you know. And there, today, tomorrow, you have tons of Nova Scotian businesses trying to sell food to the rest of the world. You have people from all over the world, 120 countries, and they'll look at Nova Scotia food as value, precious value. It's incredible. Every day is a miracle in Nova Scotia, and we don't celebrate it enough. Tonight is a celebration for food in Nova Scotia. We want to celebrate businesses like Oxford. Lee, I'm going to start eating onion rings every day now. You know, because I know that onion rings saves jobs in rural Nova Scotia. That's important. That's important. And Paul, I was so glad you accepted our invitation because, again, as a fairly new Nova Scotian, I actually assumed that most people knew of your story, knew of the story of High Liner. 125 years. That is a long time. In this room right now, we have farmers, we have processors, we have agents, brokers, distributors, retailers, restaurant operators. All of these people operate in an environment where margins are incredibly thin. And you have to basically focus on high volume. Risks are high. That's why companies in the food space are often risk averse. Okay? So that's why 125 years is to celebrate. It's incredible. Heather, you're an artist. What you did tonight is incredible. You maybe want to go to Obladi every single day. Absolutely. And the creation is so inspiring. It's great. And Hope Blooms. What's not to like about Hope Blooms? Huh? The reality of Hope Blooms is very much about Halifax, helping each other, seeing the community get together. It's a strong message. It needs to be celebrated as well. Congratulations on your success. And you're going to be around for a very long time, I know for sure. Well, let's get to the numbers. I'm an academic. I like numbers. Do you guys like numbers? Yeah? Do you know what this number is? It's 25 million people. 25 million people is the number of people Nova Scotia feeds every year. With the output that we produce, all the food we produce, all the food we export, we can feed 25 million people every single year. And if you look at all other provinces in the country, there's only one province that exceeds our ratio, and that's PEI, Canada's Food Island. That's it. We are punching above our weight. But the one thing that stands in our way are these interprovincial barriers. And that's why Premiers Houston work with Premier Ford in Ontario. I was actually on a flight with Premier Houston a couple of weeks ago on his way to sign a deal with Doug Ford to basically break down these barriers. These barriers are so important. We need to break them up. We have so many companies in Nova Scotia that can actually do way more, feed way more than 25 million people, but these barriers are isolating the Atlantic. And I often hear that, well, these barriers are important because we protect our own businesses. In 2025, we have to think about value add. We have to think about how to innovate. We can't think of calories anymore. The stomach share mentality, this zero-sum game that has been prevalent in the food industry for decades, is gone. And by bringing down barriers, what's going to happen? It's going to make Oxford, it's going to make Highliner, it's going to make all businesses we have in our province more competitive. And we all know what's happening in Washington. We can actually develop new markets. That's what I'm seeing in Toronto. Lots of countries are in town to sell more food to Canada, and guess what? We're here to sell more food to the rest of the world, and that is a good thing. That is a good thing. What's going on with Washington is not all bad. There are opportunities out there for Nova Scotia companies, for sure. But I must say, there is nothing that represents Nova Scotia genius as the donair. You've had a donair, you know, they're not pretty to look at. They're sticky, but they are so satisfying, right? So, as you probably can tell from my accent, I am from Quebec. I am from the region where poutine was invented. Yes. Who likes poutine? Little confession, since I'm in Halifax, I fell in love with lobster poutine. Very good. Lethal combination. Very good. Well, the story of the donair to me represents a little bit what we need to think about. Poutine is known around the world. I wrote a book on poutine called Poutine Nation. It's true. It came out in French 3 years ago. It's come out in English this fall. Poutine Nation, look it up. But poutine is known around the world. In that book, I actually go around the world, Australia, Shanghai, France, Brazil. I'm able to find poutine everywhere. When I got to Halifax 10 years ago, I barely knew what donair was. But it was invented, it comes from Halifax. We need a book called Donair Nation. Who's with me? Huh? We need to tell the story. Bottom line is that we should be proud of our innovation, we should be proud of our creativity, and we should actually brag about it a little bit, because there's lots going on in this province. Every single day I get emails from companies here, from Nova Scotia up in the Atlantic saying, you know what, so Michael, why don't you come to our business, have a tour, see what we're doing, and I'm always amazed every single day. It's awesome. Companies, I mean, there were companies outside here showcasing great products, great services. All I saw was innovation. I mean, some of the things that are happening in our province is just amazing. And you see some of the products here that I see around the world, around the country and around the world, all from Nova Scotia. And if you decide to eat local, that's great. I'm a big fan of NS Local. Why? Because it gets you and I to think about local. Without necessarily excluding everything else, but it's important to value our food right here in Nova Scotia. Absolutely. Nova Scotia should be at the center of our food world. Should be at the center of our food world. Because when you travel, you all travel. I travel. How many times have you heard, oh, you're from Nova Scotia. I love Nova Scotia. I love Halifax. I've never heard, oh, Halifax sucks. Never heard, not once. I used to live in Guelph. I did hear that about Guelph. Not about Halifax. No, no, no. Halifax is adored. People want our food. People want our story. They want us. We got something to offer to the rest of the world. So what businesses are doing in the province is amazing. And I'm so, so glad that the Chamber of Commerce decided to dedicate this evening to the know-how in the food industry in the province. I'm grateful. But Hope Bloom reminded us there are some people left behind. And we can't forget about them. Nova Scotia has the highest food insecurity rate in the country. So the solution is creating wealth. The solution is creating wealth in rural communities in Nova Scotia. And the best way to create wealth in rural Nova Scotia is with the agri-food sector. It's important. It's important to create jobs with the agri-food sector as much as possible. And that's how we're going to be able to create a prosperous economy, not only in Halifax, but everywhere in the province. And on that note, I wish you a good evening and enjoy your Sweet Dreams dessert. Thank you.
That was great, Sylvain. Thank you very much. I always have to wrap things up, so it's great to have somebody else wrap up the evening for us and talk about all of the great speakers that we had tonight. This has been an incredible evening. I hope you enjoyed your 2 courses of dessert. But I'm going to wrap up with big thank yous and of course, our prize draw. So we don't want to let you out of the room without that. So first of all, thank you to Sylvain for his wrap-up. Thank you very much to Kaladi and Veronica, Heather, Lee, Paul, and Minister LeBlanc for taking us. Yes, thank you. Let's. You've all taken us on a culinary journey this evening. And I think we all appreciate, I certainly appreciate more, the wonderful providers, suppliers, farmers, retailers, restaurants, beverage makers that we now have in Nova Scotia, and as Highlander showed us, have had for 125 years. I'm incredibly proud of this region and the bustling food economy that supports so many. Food brings people together and is a cornerstone of every culture in every corner of the world. We use food to start or end an evening, to mourn, to persevere, to cherish, and most importantly, to celebrate. Thank you everyone for joining us for this special meal and the special conversation. As you go home tonight and as you spend your time this weekend, visit a farmer's market. Go to an independently owned grocery store. Check out local foods flagged at Sobeys or Walmart. Go to Obladi any night but tonight. Keep where your food is made in mind as you prepare it and order it at one of our great local restaurants. So I'm wrapping up my time at the Chamber, and this is probably my last spring dinner. But I want to thank you all for coming to our Halifax Chamber spring dinner. It's been a great time for me. We're beginning the search for the new CEO. You'll be able to tell when we have a new CEO when there's a small puff of white smoke on Akerley Boulevard in Dartmouth. Thanks again to Dr. Charlebois, Nova Scotia Loyal and Events East, and of course the Halifax Convention Centre for their generous donations as well to Hope Blooms this evening. A big thank you to our presenting partner, the Halifax Convention Centre, and their entire team. I think we should give a big round of applause to the culinary team. A wonderful evening. Thank you very much, Carrie, and please pass on our thanks to the chef and his team. Making 7 courses for over 600 people is no easy feat. Thank you to our celebration partner, Discover Halifax, for sharing their Take the Lead initiative. And remember, you too can bring a convention or a gathering to Halifax or to Nova Scotia, and Discover Halifax would love to talk to you about that. Our local producer showcase partner, Nova Scotia Loyal, who organized all of the vendors in the reception area with our friends at Taste of Nova Scotia. Our advocate partners, Highliner Foods, Sociologica, and TikTok. And our AV partners, Advanced Systems and Wasco AV. Hasn't it been great to have these great images around the building? Our exclusive home and auto insurance partner, TD Insurance. But before we head out, let's meet our prize draw winner of 2 tickets to any of the TD Halifax Jazz Festival main stage shows. Thank you to Jazz Fest for donating these tickets. And the winner can just come on over here, or actually we'll just contact you later. You don't have to come on up. And the winner is Jennifer Karras from iSands. Congratulations, Jennifer. The Chamber team will contact you directly with the prize details. And we have one final prize, although I don't know how we're going to do this. One person at each table can take home the lovely flower display that's on the table. I've tried to do this before. It's never worked out well with fist fights and all sorts of things. So I'm thinking that maybe what we could do is we could pick somebody whose birthday is closest to today. Maybe we could do that, but we'll do that at every table. So it's clearly Patty's going to win for this table. But for the other tables, I'll leave you to figure it out, but please take home the flowers that are on the table. And thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight. It's still early. We're actually early, believe it or not, by 5 minutes. I'm amazed. Go support somewhere local. And if you do support somewhere local and perhaps you have a drink, take a taxi or an Uber home. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks very much.